Hey there! Welcome back to my kitchen for another weekend of filling the freezer. We were up late last night watching a movie, so we slept in today and woke up to this mess. And I don't have a ton of time for meal prep this weekend. Fortunately, my freezer is full. However, my kids have been requesting spaghetti and meatballs, so as I prepare that meal, I will be making some extra for the freezer, making this meal all the easier to throw together in the weeks to come. So let's get started. For the sauce, you're going to need some herbs, fresh if you can get them. The only herb I have in the garden right now is parsley. You'll also need 1 sweet onion, 2 cans whole tomatoes, salt, and sugar. You're going to start by finely chopping that onion and then sauteing it in olive oil. If you have some fresh or minced garlic, this is where I would throw it in. Unfortunately, I'm all out. You want to give this plenty of time to reach a deep golden brown. Add the tomatoes, parsley, and those onions to your food processor and let that go till everything becomes smooth. Now we're going to pour it into a pot to simmer, but first we're going to start seasoning. I have some Italian seasoning mix here, salt and sugar. If you didn't have any fresh herbs, I'd add in some extra dried basil and parsley. Now we're going to start tasting and seasoning before it becomes too hot. I feel like the secret to a good sauce is the right combination of salt and sugar. Just keep tasting and seasoning a little at a time till you get it to your liking. Now I'm going to add a little tomato paste to thicken it up a bit and a bay leaf. Okay, there we go. Just let this simmer for a bit, about 30 to 45 minutes. Don't let it boil. I use a glass jar for storing. This will keep in the fridge for well over a week. Let's move on to meatballs. You're going to need some ground beef, eggs, Italian seasoning, salt, breadcrumbs, basil, and parsley. I'm going to add all that meat, it's about 2 pounds, to a big mixing bowl and start seasoning. I'm then going to add a cup of breadcrumbs and 4 eggs. Now I'm going to start mixing it all together. Once everything is all mixed together, I like to form it into one big ball and divide it in half. From there, I divide each ball into half again and again. I just keep equally dividing till I get my desired size. After that, I roll each one with my hands, forming them into meatballs. Here they are. I'm going to bake these at 350 for about 30 minutes till they're cooked through. Once they're completely cooled, I'm going to place them on a baking dish in the freezer till frozen. Here they are the next day. I'm just going to pop these in a freezer bag and throw them back in the freezer. Now for the breadsticks. We need softened butter, flour, 1 egg, salt, sugar, and yeast. As always, I'll list everything down below. This recipe is so simple, and these breadsticks are amazing, almost as good as Olive Garden. You just throw everything into a bowl and mix it up. Once everything starts to come together, I'm going to turn it out onto the countertop and just keep kneading it. Here we are about 10 minutes later. I'm going to lightly butter the outside of this dough with my hands and toss it in a bowl, covered for about an hour and a half. Here it is. It has doubled in size. I'm now going to turn this out onto a lightly floured surface and form it into a 12 by 10 rectangle. I'm going to gently roll it to size. Now I'm going to start slicing my breadsticks. This is going to give us 16. What I like to do is cut the dough into quarters, each quarter giving us 4 breadsticks. Once they're all cut up, I'm going to place them on a pan between 2 pieces of parchment paper, and then I'm going to stick them in the freezer. Once they're frozen, I'm going to toss them in a freezer bag till we're ready for breadsticks. So now I want to show you all just how quickly this meal comes together. Before we even start boiling the water for our pasta, we're going to place a few of our frozen breadsticks on a parchment-lined baking sheet. Just leave them there to thaw, covered. Now we're going to add those frozen meatballs to a saucepan and cover them with that pasta sauce. Turn on the heat and let them simmer in that sauce while you get the pasta started. Once the pasta is boiling, pop those breadsticks in the oven. They need to bake at 350 for about 15 to 20 minutes. That's it, a complete homemade spaghetti dinner in minutes. The last thing I want to share with you are these chocolate chip cookies. Do you have frozen cookie dough in your freezer? I love having it on hand. I'm going to list this recipe down below, but if you already have a recipe you love, I would encourage you to mix up a few batches for the freezer. After mixing up the dough, I cover it to chill for just a bit before forming them into tablespoon-sized balls. After that, I place them in the freezer. Once they're frozen, I transfer to a freezer bag. Now I'm able to bake cookies at a moment's notice. It's so convenient. That's all I've got for you guys this week. Please like, subscribe, and share so I can keep bringing you more recipes, meal prep, and dinner inspiration.